Welcome back to the Fit Family Podcast, a long overdue Fit Family podcast. We've had some sick children in the house, but as of now, on a Thursday, they are all where they are meant to be.
They are,
Yeah,
and
which is not around us.
No, we have been speaking with a lot of people who are in the same boat, a lot of illness going around. So just make sure you are looking after yourself, guys. We've been talking to everyone about vitamin C and vitamin D.
Now, we are quite proud of the fact that at this stage, our clientele is Australia-wide. So South Australia, Queensland, New South Wales, Perth, those states in Australia.
Look at you.
Not yet Tassie. We haven't branched into Tassie just yet, or Northern Territory, hopefully to come. But let me tell you right now, Melbourne, frigid cold, stinky.
Very cold.
For those of you up in Queensland enjoying your 4:30 sunrises and mild 22 degrees in the middle of June, enjoy it because Melbourne sucks at the moment. But anyway,
Talk about starting on a bit of a downer, Benjamin.
starting on a little bit of a downer.
Goodness.
But we've got plenty of questions to get through. We didn't ask for more questions this week because we got some rippers last week. So we are going to go through those. It's nutrition, it's protein shakes, it's training, breaking bad habits, all sorts of things that we can expand on and give you some details on, including one that we've seen just go absolutely bunter on the socials the last couple of months in particular. All thanks to what's her name? Mel Robbins. Thank you, Mel Robbins. And her thick framed shades.
She is quite the rage at the moment.
Yeah.
But let's get started. I'll start with you first because you love your science, Ben. Everyone knows you love your science, and I love the behaviour.
Science.
Now, thoughts on branched chain amino acids?
Okay. Let's just keep it simple here. So they are fine, but they are unnecessary if you.
Hang on.
What?
Not everyone may know what branched chain amino acids are, so maybe what are they first?
Oh, okay. So amino acids are what protein in our body breaks down into. So it's not just as simple as, there's one type of protein that does everything. There are different amino acids that kind of prioritize different things in the body.
Yep.
That's a level of nutrition understanding that most of our clients don't need.
Yes.
But also potentially cause that if you eat the same types of protein over and over again, that you might be missing out on a few.
Yep.
In the same way that if you only ate green apples, you're only going to be able to get the vitamins and minerals that come from those apples instead of eating the rainbow, as they say. So overall, variety is good. However, that's not typically the way most of us eat. We do tend to cycle through similar options on a week-to-week basis. So if you've been told, or if you know that you are missing out on some key amino acids, then sure, branched chain amino acids are going to kind of cover all bases. That being said, for most people who are eating adequate protein, which we know is 1.6 grams per kg of your body weight, you do not need these. It will basically increase the worth of your wee. It'll be more expensive. Okay, and they are quite expensive. They're unnecessary if you get in enough protein. Those are my thoughts.
Who are the people that you would kind of consider would be looking at supplementing something like a branched chain amino acid?
High-level endurance athletes.
Yeah.
Like to prevent protein breakdown whilst you're on a really long run, like muscle breakdown and stuff like that. Like really high-level athletes might look at branched chain amino acids.
Yeah.
Weekend warriors like us, not required.
Yeah. So bottom line, for the average person,
Nah.
not necessary.
A good quality protein powder will get you there.
Yeah.
Like if you need a supplement, start there.
Yeah.
Throw some mud at the wall instead of flicking specks.
Yeah. No, I like it. The next one's another supplement. And we have discussed it multiple times before, but it does come up a lot. Thoughts on creatine?
Yeah. So creatine is one of the most well-researched and, I guess, well-backed supplements that you can have, and there is not a single sports scientist or nutrition coach or anyone who we respect the opinions of who tells you that creatine is a bad idea.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where what it does in your body is it basically floods your muscles with more of the energy substrate that allows you to perform explosive high force movements. So we have a level of ATP in our muscles that is finite. So it runs out. It's not, otherwise you'd be able to do your 1 rep max of a back squat just over and over and over again. Okay, so it's that explosive energy. That's what you need to think of it as. The more creatine you have, the more of that high level force output you will be able to do. Now, it typically comes in red meat and seafood, but not many of us would eat enough red meat and seafood to naturally kind of satiate our muscles with creatine. So supplementing it is a really, really, really good idea.
Yeah.
No brainer. 5 grams a day. You don't need to cycle on and off. You can just have it consistently for the rest of your life. It'll help with recovery. It'll help with performance. The only time we would maybe recommend not having it is if it really disrupts your digestion.
I was about to say, with some people, it does upset your tummy. We actually had someone recently that it was upsetting their tummy because they changed the way they were actually supplementing. So from like a tablet to a powder.
Yeah.
So that is something that we have found, just knowing that it's naturally found in our body, so in our muscle cells. We do get it through food, but there is no harm.
It's very hard to get enough of it through food.
There is no harm in supplementing, especially having more the cognitive effect. It's a lot higher, so you do require supplementation there.
Yeah, no doubt. As far as supplements go, it is, as the kids would say, S tier, which is like, S tier.
I don't even know what that means. Why are you trying to
High
talk
level
like a young
A.
person?
I don't need to talk like a young person. I am a young person. S tier, God level supplement.
Okay.
All right, I'll ask you this one. Optimal time for protein shakes.
Oh, I love it. So what's protein's role in our body? Its main role is to repair. So what happens when we go to the gym? We break down. So we want our protein after our workouts. It is a good idea to have it like a constant flow of protein in our bodies.
Yeah.
Obviously to keep all the functions going, but you want to prioritize it post-workout.
Yeah.
And what else, Ben?
Well, I think with specificity on timing like this, like meal timing only matters when you're doing the basics well. So if you are just struggling to get protein in anyway, then don't worry about what time you're having it. Just make sure you're having it. So as soon as you are hitting the level that you need, then you can start to optimize the timing. But too many people are like, oh, well, I'll have my post-workout shake, but I had honey on toast for breakfast and then I was in the car, so I had an up and go for lunch. And it's like, who gives a rat's about your post-workout shake if you can't nail your breakfast and lunch? So focus on the most important things first, and then you can step down the path once you become a little bit more consistent with, the actual overall presence of protein.
Yeah, so the question was around timing of protein shakes in particular.
Yeah.
But you just hit the nail on the head. The first and most important thing is that you are actually getting adequate protein that your body requires just for the day.
Yeah, in the 24 hours of a day. Yeah.
So like a shake is irrelevant, and the source is irrelevant as well, because a lot of people will say, oh, what's the best protein I should have? And it's like, well, I don't know if you like chicken breast, but the main thing is you are actually getting the protein. I don't actually care how you're getting it. Yeah.
Well, the answer might be different from person to person too. Like if you have to be up and out the house at 4 a.m. and you don't want to, cook eggs and wake up the whole house before you leave, then a protein smoothie in the morning might be a great breakfast. But if you do have the time to have a breakfast, maybe it's not the most optimal time to have a shake or any kind of supplement. So choose real food first, and then when that doesn't work, then you might use a smoothie as a backup. That's perfectly fine. Or if you're in a good routine with smoothies in the morning and you like it, then stick with that, because that's a winning formula. But yeah, most people don't really need to worry about timing of their nutrients too much unless you do have a higher level performance goal. But most of our clients don't have that at this stage, which is okay. So yeah, just use it when you're struggling to get it in through Whole Foods.
Yeah, it is very handy to have, that's for sure. When we talk about convenience options, just having it there is fantastic. The fact that you've got a protein that you can just grab and go is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Better than no protein.
Oh, 100%. Pre and post workout meals, snacks, and supplement suggestions.
Again, I love it, but we need to make sure that our overall diet is the focus first. So I have probably one of my first clients that I've ever started really working on timing with. Around workouts, and just because that is the stage that they are at, they are absolutely nailing everything else.
Yeah, 100%. Pardon me. So I can give you a little bit of insight into how I've used pre-workout and post-workout meals before. Maybe at the tail end of last year, when I wasn't running at all, I was doing gym 5 times a week. So I was like, okay, in order to try and maximize, the energy I have for these sessions, but also my ability to recover in between, I started to get a little bit more serious about my pre and post workout nutrition, as opposed to just eating my 3 normal meals like I normally would. So prior to training, I would have a small, rapidly absorbed source of carbohydrates. For example, it would literally be like a Coles wrap with a tablespoon of honey. So nothing too crazy, but it'd just be a little hit of energy for me, and it's all relative to me. So don't take this as like, oh, wraps and honey's ideal. It really does depend on the person. But I was looking for around 30 to 40 grams of carbs. And then I would typically time my workout to have a bigger meal afterwards. So it really does depend on the person. But I can also imagine that if you're an evening trainer, and you might work out at 4, 5 or 6 p.m. maybe before your dinner, and your last meal was at lunchtime, you might need something to kind of just perk you up a little bit and give you a little bit of juice just before you head to the gym. Otherwise, you might feel just a little bit flat. And the same early on in the morning. So it really does depend on the person, but pre-workout, you want to stick to predominantly carbohydrates. Maybe a little bit of protein as well, but nothing that's going to slow you down or make you feel sluggish. And that's typically our higher fat options. And then post workout, you just want to have basically a balanced meal. So plenty of protein, plenty of carbs. And again, if you were going to be extra specific, then you might want to just lower the fat content of the meal a little bit, just so you can digest the meal and get the nutrients out to the muscles as fast as you can.
Yep. So fat slows the process.
Yeah, so fat slowing the process is super valuable in other areas, but not necessarily when you're trying to prioritize recovery, because you want the nutrients getting to where they need to be, and no interruptions on the production line.
Yeah. So basically, with pre and post workout nutrition, no one really needs to stress about it again, unless they have nailed the rest of their diet, so they actually understand what macronutrients they require and they're meeting that. After that, do you have a performance goal? Yeah. That's obviously really big. And it also, that performance nutrition or sports nutrition does not align with general health and wellbeing nutrition guidelines.
No, and I did want to make that point as well, is like you can go a hell of a long way transforming your fitness, your lean muscle mass, your health, losing weight, without really worrying about pre or post workout nutrition, and just focusing on quality protein at the right amounts, getting your energy balance in order so that you're not in a calories surplus or too much of a deficit, which is rare, but it can happen, and just focusing on the fundamentals of good nutrition. That will take you, for most people listening to this, that will take you to your goal.
Yes.
And then if you want to kind of break beyond that, then you do start to need to be a little bit maybe more specific. Like specific outcomes need specific practice, but to just be a generally healthy, lean, strong adult, you don't really need to get too much into the weeds on this.
Yep.
100% agree. All right, here you go, little miss behavior.
Ooh.
How do we sensibly break bad habits? That is, cold turkey is not for everyone, but equally drawing out the process may not be ideal either. Thoughts?
I love this so much.
How long have you got?
Oh, hold on, guys. So we have this conversation like daily. daily. Know who you are. Know your preferences and be confident in them. We were talking about the comparison of our nutrition practices between Ben and myself. We're both obviously educated to a similar level in that field. We both practice healthy nutrition.
Yeah, we both follow the same principles. We just apply them differently.
Very differently. Very, very differently. And that's okay. And we're both successful in what it is we're trying to achieve with our nutrition. The problem is when we talk to people is they try and adopt methods based on what they see. So, for example, if they see someone on Instagram that has a six-pack and they do X, Y, Z, then they think that they just need to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah, that's what's required.
That's what's required. And they don't actually think about their preferences, their limitations, the type of person they are, what would work for them currently with their lifestyle. And they basically throw out everything that's relevant, being about them, and try to apply something where they have absolutely no knowledge of.
Yeah, it's what they perceive to be ideal at the time instead of what's realistic for them based on all the information at hand. Now, like, sensibly breaking bad habits, it does depend on what the habit is, and it also depends on what the goal is. And the bit that stuck out to me in this question is the drawing out the process may not be ideal either. In my experience of both what's worked for me personally, but also coaching people, drawing out the process doesn't work. But that also doesn't mean that cold turkey is the best either. So there is a little bit of nuance here, and it does depend on what it is. But like, I'll speak to people who aren't part of our program and, just irregular marketing check-ins and stuff, and they'll be like, yeah, I'm slowly ticking along. I've lost 200 grams since the start of November last year. And in my head, I'm going, that's terrible. We need to speed this up, because how long can you seriously stay in the mindset of I'm on a diet without the rewards that you need to be seeing to stay motivated? So there is that question too, is like, I don't want to draw out the process and go too slowly where I start to lose interest. But I also don't want to speed up the process too much where it starts to have a huge impact on my day-to-day life and happiness. And that's the nuance from person to person based on the amount of, the skills that you may have, in this case, nutritionally speaking, and can you apply those skills consistently? Do you also have the level of stress management required to be able to handle discomfort to achieve your goals faster? These are all questions that we can't answer for you, but we can give you the information that you can start to formulate a little bit of an idea yourself.
You just mentioned a really good one about the level of discomfort.
Yeah.
And that really does play a key role here. Some people can get really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And they can sit there for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
So someone that can be quite uncomfortable, something like cold turkey, we just mentioned, is probably more achievable.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're the type of person that, like, as soon as you have a headache, you need to take a Panadol, like, you can't...
Wow.
You don't like much discomfort at all,
Yeah.
then probably a more stepped approach would be better.
Yeah.
And you know who you are, and that's okay. I'll use a common thing we see in our coaching. I would say it would be alcohol, so drinking.
Yeah.
And people want to reduce that. Okay,
Yeah.
so for example, going cold turkey and just being like, I'm drinking too much, I'm not going to drink, may not be the best solution for most people that we have coached.
No, that will work for 2 weeks.
So, the option of maybe not on weeknights or not alone. These are all suggestions. And it is working towards that end goal of reducing alcohol consumption.
Yeah, for sure. And I think sometimes, or most of the time, people come to us in a state of emotional fragility, I guess, where it's like in their mind, they are at rock bottom or close and need to do something drastic to get out of there. And a lot of the times the suggestions that they will give us. And I will often ask people, like, what is it that you think you need to do in order to start to claim control over your health? And it'll be all home runs. It'll be, like, I need to quit sugar, I need to start a new program, I need to, and all of these things have a massive impact on the day-to-day life. And I understand where the thought process is, because, okay, well, to change, I need to change, and that's a fundamental principle of, like, if you want things to stay the same, change nothing. We get that, but also the level of change that is required and the level of invasiveness that is required into what you're currently doing to start to turn the tide and see some results in the direction that you're after is always less than people think, if done correctly. Like, if we can look at everything that you're doing, which we do as part of our program, is we gather all the information on what you're doing now, and then we can start to pick at a couple of things which we think will be relatively straightforward and simple for you to implement. When you start to see the results from that, then it starts to kind of reframe your own idea of, okay, so this is what's working, and this is the level of change that I need to make, instead of big swings. I'm never going to drink again, and I must ignore all party invitations, and, all sorts of things like this typically come from, just a place of feeling a little bit vulnerable in their own routine, which is totally normal. And it does take time to kind of come out of that and embrace a bit of a new strategy. But also, by the time people are speaking to us, they are ready to embrace a new strategy. So, it's a very complicated question, and it really does depend on the person. I hope we've kind of explained that well enough where you can understand that it's like, actually, okay, so for some things, cold turkey might be okay, but for other things, learning a little bit of a strategy around management is going to be far more effective. And for most things, maybe, we would definitely go towards managing long term. But obviously in the short term, cold turkey might be okay to give you a bit of a jolt start, maybe with the thought of reintroducing a little bit more sustainably down the track too. So that's a very wishy-washy way, I guess, of explaining that it does depend on the person, and it does depend on what the habit is. And also, and I know you'll speak to this as well, because I've just spoken nonstop for about 3 minutes.
No, I hadn't noticed. I was just waiting my turn.
But often our strategy to kind of break what we might consider to be bad habits is just introduce so many new good habits that the bad habit becomes a bit obsolete, or it doesn't even occur anymore.
Yeah. You don't want it.
So instead of focusing on the negative and being a bit reductive of, like, I have to stop drinking, it's like, well, we can start to work on your hydration and make sure that you're drinking enough water, and maybe provide you with a couple of options that if you do want to polish off like a bottle of Cab Sav, maybe you're having a kombucha instead or something like that. And I certainly know that's much more your style.
I know you've spoken a long time, but yes.
Was I wrong?
You're not wrong, Ben. You're not wrong.
Dropping bars.
But just want everybody to know that it is so unique to the individual. Break it down with someone. Have a chat. It doesn't, like, if you've got a coach, obviously talk to your coach about it. And I will be discussing it with this person. But if you don't have a coach,
get one.
Have a chat with your friend. Just troubleshoot
after
it.
You get a coach.
Put it down on paper.
Yeah.
And really, because the outcome will depend on your variables.
Yeah.
No one else's.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's like, I guess it's, you don't know what you don't know. So if you're feeling as though, like, I'm in a bit of a hole at the moment, I need to start kind of punching up a little bit and, digging my way out of it, is maybe you don't, you don't have all the answers yet. And ignorance is something that, like, people often maybe assume is like a choice, like you're choosing to be ignorant. But most of the people we speak to just don't have the information they need as well. They don't have the strategy or the information they need. So if you are feeling as though you are stuck in a little bit of a cycle at the moment, firstly, reach out to us and we can certainly help. But also, you may just not have the tools you need for this stage of life to achieve the goal that you're after. And in a lot of cases, that is true. People are too married to what they used to do when they were 26, and after
Oh my
3 kids it
gosh.
doesn't work anymore. And it's like, yeah, mate, you also don't work at Macca's anymore. Okay, like, you know, this life changes, life moves on. Like, we need to make sure that our practice is growing and adapting. And, you know, if you do still work at Macca's, obviously that's fine. I'm just trying to make an example as to how life changes over the, you know, over periods of time, or what worked then won't work now.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with women. I just think that, you know, it
women.
it is absolutely insane that we think we should look like we should have when we were 20.
You shouldn't.
That we should be eating, that moving, like, it's just, it blows my mind. We do need to adapt and change as we go through the different phases of life, and that's something that we love educating people on.
Totally.
Every single day, and seeing them walk out the other end with that confidence.
Yeah. It's the same principles. The same principles apply. It's just the practice of them looks different.
Very different, but rather
we say that every week,
than
don't
not
we?
being able to adapt with the method, what happens is people just drop it.
Yeah.
So completely. I can't do what I did when I was 20. I can't go to the gym for an hour when I want to, so I'm just not going to go to the gym.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, what can we do to get that dedicated exercise instead? And they're the conversations we have.
Yeah, Zumba.
Oh, you'd love it. Everyone's seen you move on Instagram, Ben.
Last one. I have seen people add protein powder to their coffee. Hold on. Let me start that again. Editor, I'll get the editor to edit this out. I have seen people add protein powder to their coffee. Is this something you should do?
Oh, I love it.
And I say, this is something you should do if you really want to hate your morning coffee.
Stop it. Why are you so ridiculous? One of my favourite smoothies. My favourite
You know
smoothies,
the question wasn't about smoothies.
but you can have it without banana.
Yeah, okay. So
I add banana. That's the only difference. Actually, if I have a smoothie, I do put my creatine in as well.
Protein powder and all that stuff too.
Well, that's what we're talking about, protein powder.
Oh, yeah, cool. No, all right. So
let me talk, Ben. You're cutting me off. Let me have my piece.
Go on.
You've been talking for ages.
Oh, yeah.
So one of my favourite brekkies sometimes when I'm very time poor is a frozen banana, a shot of coffee, my protein powder. I do have chocolate if I'm feeling really, really... I know.
A bit naughty.
Sometimes I put the flavoured protein in there.
Wow.
Chocolate, protein powder,
What a disaster.
creatine, and almond milk. Right? That is basically what people are saying, and is the rage because it was on a Mel Robbins podcast.
No, this isn't what the question was.
No, it is. The one on Mel Robbins was... And it was when they had Dr. Stacey Sims, who is a legend, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
All thing women's health. Please do follow her. She is
Danielle's
amazing.
idol. Yeah. She's also jacked. She's got phenomenal arms.
So jacked. Oh, my goodness. Her arms are incredible.
Mint.
Anyway, what she was saying is for women that struggle, so a lot of people say they don't want breakfast. And the latest research is supporting that women operate better, and this is because of our hormones, when we start to eat something. Because what that does...
Start the day by eating something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So not fasted.
No doubt.
So common practice for women is to get up and just go. Coffee, just go.
Yeah.
Go to the gym, do whatever.
Yeah.
And research is saying, no. Your body's stressed. And then you're stressing your body more. Having something over nothing... Something. It can be a couple of spoonfuls of food.
Yeah.
Is going to help you. And what Stacey shared was what she does when she's time poor. And what she does is she puts protein powder in her coffee, right? Or in her milk the night before, and puts it in the fridge, and then adds her coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
Right? And that way she's starting her day with something. And because most people we know lack their protein needs, that's helping that at the same time.
Yeah, no doubt. If you're struggling to get enough protein in, trying to get it in over 2 meals is obviously going to be harder than getting it in over 3. 100%. The issue that I had is, firstly, we've been saying this for years, and as soon as Mel Robbins drops it on a podcast, it's like everyone listens. So I'm fuming with that. Number one, if you didn't believe this until Mel Robbins said it, come at me.
It was actually Stacey that said it.
No, Stacey's cool. Mel Robbins, less cool. But
Mel is cool too.
she's fine. But the issue is, the question is just like, people have just been having black coffees and then putting in a tablespoon of protein powder into it. And I tell you, that is psychotic behavior.
Okay,
That's
so
disgusting.
processed protein, and guys, experiment. But putting processed protein into hot products,
Oh my God, it's so bad.
It makes it kind of
Clumpy and gritty.
Yeah, Ben
Ugh.
used to do it daily
Porridge.
yeah, and I don't. It took you a very long time to learn your lesson.
It was all right with porridge. It was all right.
Anyway, what I do adds a bit of flavourless protein to our kids' porridge in the morning. However, the trick is not to do it straight into a hot product.
Yeah.
So if I cook them hot porridge, I add some cold milk and mix the protein in that.
Yeah.
Just for consistency
Yeah.
reasons, so it doesn't have that clumpy texture.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't be putting it directly into a hot product like you just said, a long
That's
black.
awful.
So you'd mix it in something cooler first and then add your hot product
Yeah.
afterwards.
I think to frame this question correctly, it's like adding a shot or two of coffee to a smoothie is good. Adding protein powder to a coffee, yuck.
It's not yuck. You're missing the point here.
No, I'm not.
You are.
What do you
It's okay. So, a smoothie would be at the more optimal end of the scale.
Yeah.
But if you're having nothing in the morning and adding a scoop of protein powder to
coffee.
start your day
Yeah.
is going to help you meet your protein needs and stop your fast,
Yeah.
then that's more beneficial than having nothing, is it not?
Yeah, well, as long as you like it, otherwise you won't sustain it.
Okay.
Okay.
We got to the bottom of it.
All right, cool.
We got to the bottom of it. Ben's not a fan of putting protein in coffee, guys.
No.
But that's okay. That's
If
Ben.
you like it, let me know.
Okay.
Power to you. But yes, you should absolutely be having protein in the morning, and certainly, like, shout out to Aideney Street Cafe and Q. They used to make a mint coffee.
Yes, it was
smoothie.
called the Dreamliner. Incredible.
Yeah, apparently they don't do it anymore,
Oh,
and I
wow.
know because I went to check when William played football there. But when we used to live in at God's Waiting Room over in Kew, they used to have a fantastic smoothie.
Yeah, it was really good.
Now we're with the undead over in the northern burbs. Can't find it anywhere. But yeah. Anyway, just be wary with what you're seeing, because the person who asked this question did also say in our group chat that it was a person literally just adding protein powder into like a regular black
Yeah.
coffee.
Well, I would love to see
That's madness.
the clumps in it.
Oof.
And like anything,
Yeah, if you like it and it works
you have
for
to
you,
enjoy
power
it.
to
Yeah.
you.
Like you're breaking the fast, you're getting some protein in. Is it an ideal meal? No.
Have we ever recommended it to anyone? Nah.
But yeah, discuss it. There is no right or wrong, guys, because no one knows your life like you do.
Correct. Correct. Any others?
I think that was the last question.
Last question? Yeah, cool. Always good to end on a bit of a tiff, isn't it?
Jeez.
I have my lunch in- I have my lunch
Sometimes
inside.
you just get so worked
Well,
up about
people
things.
ask us for our opinions, and now you're getting upset when I give it. I'm eating my lunch in silence. I'll tell you that for free.
I'm going to the gym.
All right. Catch you on the next one.
Bye.